Everyone ignored the injured man on the street, except for the homeless stranger with nothing. The next morning, a black limo showed up, and the truth stunned everyone watching. It was just after 9 p.m. on a rainy Thursday in Chicago. The streets were cold, slick, and mostly empty, except for the steady line of headlights racing past people without faces, without names. Ethan Blake, 52, sat on the same corner he had for the last year. Old army coat, knit beanie, cardboard sign. Anything helps. God bless most passed by. Some glanced, none stopped, until he heard a thud. Across the street, a man in a black coat had collapsed hard onto the sidewalk, clutching his leg. A briefcase skidded away. One shoe had come off. People stared. No one moved. But Ethan did. He dropped his sign, grabbed the crutch he'd rigged out of an old mop handle, and hobbled across traffic, rain soaking into his worn boots. Hey, sir, you okay?" he asked, kneeling beside the man. The man, clearly in pain, winced. "My ankle. I think it's broken." "I got you." "Don't move it," Ethan said, pulling off his own coat and placing it under the man's head. Another man standing nearby finally called 911. Ethan stayed. He talked calmly, covered him from the wind, retrieved his briefcase and shoe, even offered half of the peanut butter sandwich he'd been saving for dinner. The man chuckled through the pain. "You're kinder than the people who walked past." Ethan shrugged. "We all break different ways." 10 minutes later, paramedics arrived and rushed the man to the hospital. As they lifted him into the ambulance, he grabbed Ethan's hand. "What's your name?" "Ethan." "I won't forget you, Ethan." He didn't say who he was, and Ethan didn't ask. But the next morning, as Ethan sat sipping free coffee from a church shelter, a long black limousine pulled up outside. A man in a suit stepped out and looked around. "We're here for Mr. Ethan Blake. The CEO would like to see you." And that moment would change everything. Ethan stood frozen, still holding his chipped styrofoam cup, the steam vanishing into the cold Chicago air. "Did you say CEO?" he asked, confused. "Yes, sir," the man in the suit replied politely. "Mr. Charles Everett asked us to bring you. He insisted." Ethan's mind raced. The name sounded familiar, but he couldn't place it. He climbed into the limo slowly, cautiously. The plush leather seats and quiet hum of the engine felt like a dream. Or a trap. 20 minutes later, they arrived at a gleaming glass tower downtown, Everett Global Headquarters. People in tailored suits and polished shoes turned to stare as Ethan, still in worn jeans and a tattered flannel, was escorted through the grand marble lobby and into a private elevator. At the top floor, double glass doors opened to a stunning office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. And seated behind the desk, his ankle wrapped, crutches nearby, was the same man Ethan had helped. Only now he wasn't just a stranger in pain. He was Charles Everett, billionaire CEO of one of the most powerful tech firms in America. Ethan's eyes widened. "You're that Charles Everett?" Charles smiled. "Guilty, though yesterday I was just a guy who tripped over a sidewalk curb and was ignored by half the city." Ethan looked down, embarrassed. "I didn't know." "You didn't need to," Charles said. "You helped anyway, when no one else did." Then Charles stood, wincing slightly. "You gave me your coat. You stayed in the rain. You risked your own health and you had nothing to gain. I promised I wouldn't forget you, Ethan. And I meant it." He turned to his assistant and nodded. She handed Ethan an envelope. Inside was a voucher for a year of housing, a prepaid debit card, and a handwritten offer letter. Everett Global Community Outreach Division, street-level consultant. Ethan blinked. "You want me to work here?" Charles grinned. Who better to help us understand what really happens on the streets than someone who's lived it? Ethan sat down slowly, tears rising in his eyes for the first time in years. And Charles simply said, I don't want to change your life, Ethan. I want to give it back to you. Ethan didn't start in a corner office. He didn't want to. His new desk was small, tucked near the Everett Global Outreach Team, where social workers, community organizers, and analysts spent their days trying to make sense of poverty they had never personally known. But Ethan had lived it. He didn't bring spreadsheets. He brought stories. He spoke about the woman who slept under the I-90 overpass and knitted scarves for others. The vet who gave away half his soup every night. The girl who never begged, only asked if she could sweep sidewalks for change. Being homeless doesn't mean being hopeless, Ethan told them in his first team meeting. It means being unheard. If we listen, we can actually help. The room went quiet. Charles, sitting quietly at the back with a healing ankle, just nodded. Word spread fast. News outlets picked up the story. CEO hires homeless man who saved him, gives him role with real power. But Ethan avoided the spotlight. Instead, he used his position to build something real. He helped Everett Global open restart stations around the city, mobile hubs that offered clean clothes, showers, resume help, and counseling. He led employee volunteering days, where top execs spent weekends handing out meals instead of memos. And every Friday, Ethan personally walked the same streets he used to sleep on, wearing his old coat, now repaired at the seams. People recognized him now. Some called him lucky, but Ethan always corrected them. Not lucky. Just finally seen. 1 year later, the lobby of Everett Global looked a little different. The sleek marble floors were still spotless, the elevators still fast. But now, right by the entrance, a permanent bronze plaque stood tall. In honor of Ethan Blake. For reminding us that humanity is the greatest investment. Next to it, a glass case held his old cardboard sign, the one that read, Anything helps. God bless Ethan never asked for the recognition. He never wanted the headlines. He just wanted to make sure no one was overlooked the way he once was. Charles often said, I run this company. But Ethan, he changed its soul. And that was true. Employees who once passed homeless people without a second glance now stopped to offer food, conversation, even help. Interns volunteered on weekends. The board approved a new fund, the Blake Grant, for formerly homeless individuals who wanted to restart their lives. On Ethan's last day at Everett, he walked out the same doors he had once entered in worn shoes and disbelief. But now, he walked out in a clean jacket, holding a handwritten letter from Charles and an apartment key to a place he owned, debt-free. As he passed a man sitting on the corner with a sign, Ethan stopped. He handed him a coffee, sat down, listened, not to fix, but to hear. Because sometimes a single act of kindness doesn't just change one life. It unlocks hundreds, all because one man with nothing refused to walk away.